Okay, class, when we last left off, we were talking about solving for y in terms of creating or being able to substitute in a system. Now, what I want to make sure that we're clear that you don't necessarily have to solve for y. We talked about in class that when you have a system, you determine which one of the variables is easily to solve for. So in this case, let's take a look at this system and determine whether we need to solve for x or whether we need to solve for y. So we have a system, negative 7x minus 2y is equal to a negative 13, and x minus 2y is equal to 11. Okay, what I want you to understand here, let's just hypothetically say, well, we don't really know which one. Well, take a look at your variables. You have a negative 7x, so that means you would have to do a lot of adding. You'd have to add 2y to both sides and then divide by 7. It just will not come out to be easy. Then you have a negative 2y, and again you have to add 7x to both sides and try to divide by 2, and again it's not going to be easy. But when you look at your system, and here you see that x has a coefficient of 1 and it's standing alone, so it'd be pretty easy for us to just literally solve for x here, and we can still substitute x back in. But let me show you what I mean. So again, I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to solve for x. So solving for x means it must be on the left side of the equal sign all by itself. So whatever is happening to x, or whatever is on the same side with x, you must use the opposite to transform that to the other side. So as I look at this, I see x minus 2y. So what do I need to do? I need to add 2y to eliminate it on the left and then put it on the right. So here's the way that looks. So we have x minus 2y. Then we're going to add 2y because it's a negative, plus 2y is equal to, and I'm going to put, notice how I'm doing this, I'm not going to put it to the back, I'm going to put it to the front, 2y plus 11. Now what happens to my 2y on the left hand side? It becomes 0. So I can just simply say x plus 0 is equal to 2y plus 11, or I can easily say x is equal to 2y plus 11. So you see, really simple. No division, nothing that's going to really destroy your math strategy here. You just simply looked at this system and say, no, I'm not going to solve for y. I'm going to solve for x because it has a coefficient of 1, and I can easily do that without any type of division. Now, how do we go ahead and finish it up? We'll just take the first equation, which is a negative 7, and for x, we're going to put in 2y plus 11. And we'll go ahead and close that up because that's x, and we're multiplying x. X is 2y plus 11, so we're going to multiply by negative 7. And then we'll go ahead and add 2y is equal to a negative 13. So I've substituted. See how easy it was for me to substitute that back in there. Okay, so now we do this distributive property by distributing a negative 7 times everything inside. So you have a negative 7 times 2. That's going to give us a negative 14 y, negative times positive, always a negative, plus a negative 77. Now really we could put a plus, a negative, or we can just put minus, and that will be 7 times 7 and 7 times 7, and then again that's minus 2y. It's going to equal to a negative 13. Notice I did not multiply a negative 7 times 2y here because they're on the outside of the parentheses. Okay, now we just need to look at our like terms, and our like terms is y and a constant 77 and negative 13. So we can just go right ahead and let's just add the 77 to both sides. Okay, so now again, you don't have to do that. You can add your 2y. We could easily say 2y plus 14y is 16y. So don't think that this is just cut in stone what I'm doing. You can look at it and determine which one you want to do first. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and combine the like terms over here. Okay, so we have a negative 14 plus a negative 2, same opposite. That's going to give us a negative 16y minus 77 is equal to a negative 13. Now we see that we can add 77 to both sides. That's going to give us a negative 16. Why are we adding? Because it's a negative. So we'll have minus 77 plus 77 is equal to a negative 13 plus 77. This is going to be 0, so that'll leave us with a negative 16y is equal to, and you just do math here, that's going to be 4, and 1 from 7 is 6. So we have a positive 64. I got 66. Writing a little too fast. Let's go ahead and make that change. Okay. Now, what we need to do here is look at what can we do to get y by itself, and we'll just simply that's a negative 16 being multiplied, so we don't divide by 16, we divide by a negative 16, everything that's in front of that y. Okay, so that's a negative 16 over here, a negative 16, and of course y is going to equal to what? 4. Okay, 4 times 6 is 24, 4 times 1 is 4, but it is a negative 4. So it looked bad at first. Guess what? It's there. So again, we solve for x, y, because x has a 1 for a coefficient. We could solve it for y, but that equation it's going to be a fraction, then you're going to have to clear the fractions. So here you just want to be able to look at this system and determine which one of these you can easily solve for without a lot of problems. And then of course the next step here to solve a system would be to try to determine what is x, and we can do that simply by saying x minus 2 times a negative 4 is equal to 11. That's the same thing as x plus a negative 2 times a negative 4 is equal to 11. So that way you can see that that's a negative times a negative. So that'll be x plus 8 is equal to 11, and we just simply subtract 8 from both sides. So that'll be x plus 8 minus 8 is equal to 11 minus 8, and x is going to equal to 3. So we wind up with an ordered pair of 3, negative 4. So again, this is what you want to keep in mind when you're looking at what variable you want to solve for when you're actually using the substitution method. Remember, we said that when you're solving via substitution, you want to look at your equations and make sure that they are either in the coefficients in singular form, or is either y equal or x equal term. Then that way you know that you're going to be using substitution. All right, hope that cleared up. If you still have some misconception, please come back and look at the video Product Working Problems.